Alright, so far so good. 3 out of 3. I'm sure you'd all agree it's been a super day. There's a lot of people to thank. In particular, I didn't write this down earlier, but I thought Chris's sermon earlier was absolutely superb, really enjoyable. Round of applause for Chris. That wasn't even a bullet point, that's from the heart. I think you'll say all the bridesmaids done a fantastic job. Tracy got there safe and sound. I think the mothers of the brides have done both really well. Particularly Tim's mum, who ironed all our shirts yesterday for about an hour and a half for free. And then obviously, as Google says, I've got to praise the bride, but that's quite easy when you watch her come down the aisle and you've never really understood why people cry at a wedding, and then you see your friend's wife-to-be looking so stunning, and it kind of really hits home what the whole wedding service is about, and that was quite a moment. So, fantastic. So a little bit about me and Tim. We met 12 years ago. They say that the sign of a good night is not remembering the night before, and you can probably say that about the last 12 years of mine and Tim's friendship. Which makes it really difficult to write a speech when you don't really remember what the last person's done. We went to Argos about the age of 17. We bonded over our love of girl bands and terrible dancing. There was Girls Aloud, there were the Spice Girls, there was Bewitched, there was all sorts there. Even to the point where we'd phone each other up from different Argos stores and tell each other which band was going to be on CD UK at which time, so we could put all the tellies on. We were really cool. But I guess when I started speaking to Tim's family, it was quite apparent that we were really worried about Tim as he went through life. I mean, I only knew him from the age of 17, but I've already heard that his brothers had to pay out hundreds of pounds in bets for saying that Tim would only grow up to like the male variety and never have this day in his life. And then there's something, I'm not sure whether Tim will get this, but there's a family story that I heard after the stag do that we had. There's a weekend in Filey. It's a weekend in Filey, and the family had a great weekend, everybody was well behaved, and as they got in the car on the Sunday night to go home, Tim decided to throw a tantrum. Not just any tantrum, he was screaming. He went so mad that after 2 miles down the road, he'd turn back and go to the shop where he wanted to buy a certain item, I guess. And this was it. This was at the age of 5. My Little Pony. So anyway, things progressed. I became friends with Tim. Tracy came along, and I thought things were going well. And then there was one day where I thought he's maybe not taking it as seriously as he should do. We met. I came up from London. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We met in a bar in Wakefield, and then 3 hours later, Tim went to meet Tracy. 7 o'clock. It was supposed to be a nice evening out, a few drinks, then go home. And as they walked past the window at the bar I was in, it was like I wasn't even there. It was like a new meet. So I had to bang on the window and be like, "Oh my God, it's Tim!" And Tim had to stand there in the street and he had to pretend that he'd never seen me in his life. And it was all an accident. So Tracy got dragged out with me and Tim for the evening, and I thought, this maybe's not going to go the way it should do. But anyway, things have worked out fine, and thankfully here we are today, although I think my role in the relationship can't be underplayed. There was a few too many nights where Tim came round to my house and made admiring glances at my own mum. So the minute Tracy was on the scene, I decided to take things into my own hands. And he mentioned her for a few weeks, and he wasn't being very brave. So I sent the first text, and half a dozen text messages later, they ended up on their first date. I'm sure Tracy doesn't believe it was me, but it was. I was on the other end of the phone. So I was there. I was the one who texted for the first date, and then we went out. And I don't know whether I was getting upset that my friend was about to leave me. But when they had their first kiss, I decided to be a irritable teenager and pour a bottle of water over their head from a balcony upstairs. To which Tracy's never forgiven me to this day. And then today I'm best man, so they say things come in threes, so fingers crossed when the tiny patter of little feet come along, I'm nowhere to be seen. Anyway, when I was doing my Google search, it said that I had to give advice. There's nothing I could possibly say that Tracy was listening to. So the only thing that I can say is that they should continue with what has made the last 8 years plus a real success, as it was pretty obvious from day one that they were destined to be together. So as long as they keep that up, they're going to have a long and happy life. So I guess now it's time to raise your glass to the most two important people in the room. Two people that you're going to no doubt speak to more and more as the night goes on, as the night progresses, and that's Simon and Adrian, the bartenders. Speak to you later. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please do stand as we toast Tim and Tracy, the bride and groom.
Tim and Tracy.
Tim and Tracy.